Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone to session number 291 of Kevin Reed's Course in Miracles. Okay, today, once again, we are in the supplements to A Course in Miracles. This one is on prayer, forgiveness, and healing. This is the Song of Prayer. That's the title of that, Song of Prayer, and we're ending the discussion of prayer with section 5 entitled The Latter Ends. So if you have been looking at the preceding videos on prayer, Jesus describes prayer as a ladder. We're ascending to true prayer, which is just our awareness of our communication, our connectedness, our existing within the mind of God. Just being aware of that is true prayer. Right? And on the way, we'll just review a few of the stages for that, so to speak. Right. So right in the beginning, he says in the introduction, to you who are in time a little while, all right, that's all of us, prayer takes the form that best will suit your need. Okay, so don't be critical of yourself, all right, because like Jesus is going to give us the ultimate what prayer really is, and don't judge yourself. I'm not there yet. Where am I? For those of you, all of us, who are in time a while, prayer takes the form that best will suit your need. Okay? All right. You will experience some form of God's love. And it's remembering it's a process. And he says, prayer now must be the means by which God's Son leaves separate goals and separate interests by and turns in holy gladness to the truth of union to his Father and himself. So that's part of the practice, right? Is trying to leave separate interests behind. Because as separate interests become less and less meaningful to us, we start to just naturally become aware of the oneness. Right? So that becomes the practice. Right? He says, faith in your goal will grow and hold you up as you ascend the shining stairway to the lawns of heaven and the gate of peace. So that's part of the process, right? It's faith in your goal, right? Believing that you will attain peace. That is your goal. That's your desire, to have peace rise up in your awareness, all right? Now I'm just skipping through the prior sections. I know it's hard to follow along like that, but just let it wash over you. In the section on true prayer, it says, the secret of true prayer is to forget the things you think you need. So that's part of the practice. It's not to condemn yourself because you think you need something. That's not it. It's just become aware. Oh, I think this is something I really need. All right. Just become aware of it. That's all. And you keep desiring that communication with your true self. You keep denying, you keep desiring that communication with God. So he says, just be observant of what you think you need, because prayer is a stepping aside, a letting go, a quiet time of listening and loving. It should not be confused with supplication of any kind, because it is a way of remembering your holiness. Okay. Once again, that's the goal. Remembering your holiness, setting everything else aside. Right? It's a letting go, a quiet time. Right? And then he tells us right in the middle of the program here, this is not the level of prayer that everyone can attain as yet. And those who have not reached it still need your help in prayer, because their asking is not yet based upon acceptance. All right? Their asking is not based upon the acceptance of their own holiness. And the way we help others is by sitting in that space, so to speak. Having that space within our mind that remembers our connection to our Creator, our connection to the oneness. And it's there. Everyone has it. Everyone has that piece of their mind, that P-I-E-C-E of mind. All right? Everyone has it. All right? Everyone has the ability to remember their connection to the Creator. All right? So this is those who have reached it. Still, those who have not reached it still need your help in prayer. Right? And the only way we do that really is to connect. Right? Connect with our remembrance of the oneness and become an open channel. Okay? Because that connection it just benefits all minds, because there's only one mind. Let's see what else. Then he says, everyone prays without ceasing. Right? And we do. As Dr. Wapnick would say, in the mind, there's no neutral. There's the oneness or the chaos. The ego or the innocence. Okay. Let's see. What else? So part of the process, the recognition, is to realize that, and he has it in italics here, what I've asked for my brother is not what I would have. Thus have I made of him my enemy. In other words, if I'm projecting guilt onto my brother, I say, wait, that's not what I would have. I don't want it. I would not want guilt. Right? So what I'm wishing for you, I wouldn't want. So I've made of him an enemy. I've made of you an other of some sort. All right? That's a recognition. And at that point, we can make the decision, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay. And let's see. And then we get to the recognition that we go together. All right? We're in this boat together, so to speak. Or somebody once said, we're not all in the same boat, we're all in the same storm. So either way you want to look at it, right? Because we have the same basic need. We need to escape from this illusion of separation, right? So in that much, we are alike, and we can begin to to see the likeness to each other. Because we all have that need to escape from this illusion, right? This dream of anxiety and lack and hatred and violence and all this. All right? We have a need to escape from that. All right? And it all happens in the mind. And once we realize, no, I don't want to project guilt onto him because I don't want that. And then I realize, well, we go together. All right? We go together. We have the same need. All right? And Jesus told us, we realize that now praying for others is the equivalent of forgiveness. Right? I desire to see their innocence. So, what else can we say here? Okay. So just, once again, it's a process. Notice to what you cling to, that's all. And don't beat yourself up for it. You know what I mean? Say, oh my God. But I really enjoy those sunsets. Enjoy it. Don't condemn yourself for it. Just realize that although you enjoy it and you think it's very beautiful, it is not the peace that passes all understanding. It's not the peace of God. All right? But enjoy the sunset. Enjoy whatever it is you enjoy. All right? My current enjoyment is a Italian sandwich that they make up on 23rd Street. But I realize it's not the peace of God. Right. But see, there's a part of my mind that is like that. We say, oh, this is what's going to make me happy. And it's like now you want to do it every day. Right? You got to have it every day. So that's part of what I need to be aware of. All right? I have a very addictive personality to anything. So, let's look finally at section 5, the ladder ends. Because all these things we're talking about are steps up the ladder. Okay? So, prayer is a way to true humility. And here again, it rises slowly up. It grows in strength and love and holiness. Let it but leave the ground where it begins to rise to God, and true humility will come at last to grace the mind that thought it was alone and stood against the world. Humility brings peace because it does not claim that you must rule the universe, nor judge all things as you would have them be. All little gods it lays aside, not in resentment, but in honesty and recognition that they do not serve. Right? So prayer is a way to true humility. Right? Prayer is a way to realizing your true innocence, right? Which is a true humility. Realizing that you are great in God and yet humble before him or her, okay? Remember, I'm old. Pronouns confuse me, okay? And the Course of Miracles coming in the 70s does adhere to, almost Christian terminology, all right? So that's just the way it is. as the song goes. So prayer is a way to true humility, right? By practicing coming to the right mind, so to speak, and sitting in the oneness and just noticing what I'm grasping, what I'm holding on to without judgment. All right? You become stronger and stronger. It grows in strength, and it grows in love, and it grows in holiness. All right? Let it but leave the ground where it begins to rise. So just begin the process. Begin the process. Right? The old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles, whatever, begins with the first step, one step. All right? And true humility will come at last to grace the mind that thought it was alone. Right? So that awareness of your connection to God, which is the true humility, the awareness of your innocence, which means you never separated from God, all right, will come to grace the mind that thought it was alone. It will come to grace the mind that lived in that uncertainty, the loneliness, and the constant fear. All right. That awareness of who you really are will come to replace all that. It will make it vanish. All right? Because humility brings peace, because it does not claim that you must rule the universe. All right? You're not the king of the hill. You're not the top. You're not the ruler. All right? Everything doesn't have to be the way you want it to be. And then all little gods, it gladly lays aside. And all little gods are all little substitutes, all those things that we thought were going to bring us peace. Right? That Italian sandwich. The sunset. Right? That relationship, that job, that car. This family, this house. Once again, nobody's saying don't do those things. It's just notice. Just notice. These are the little things that substitute for the peace of God. All right? And it, like, once again, I keep reiterating, do not berate yourself because you want to have a family. All right? Do not berate yourself because you want to have a nice dinner. Do not berate yourself because you want to go to the track. Although that's not my cup of tea. But, hey, whatever. All right? My brother Stephen used to like that. Stephen would drive all the old men from the bar. He'd drive them to the track, Belmont Racetrack. And he'd charge them all for the ride so he could get in. And they would come back to me and say, oh, he's a great handicapper. He can pick those horses. And this and that, what great. And I said, really? Then why is he always borrowing money from me? You know. But that was my brother. He was, as they say, his memory is a blessing. So, all little gods it lays aside, not in resentment, but in honesty and recognition that they do not serve. Right? Sooner or later, that drug doesn't work. Sooner or later, that job is not what you thought it was, and this and that. You know, everything. They don't bring the peace of God. Right. Paragraph 2, illusions and humility have goals so far apart they cannot coexist, nor share a dwelling place where they can meet. Where one has come, the other disappears. The truly humble have no goal but God, because they need no idols, and defense no longer serves a purpose. Enemies are useless now, because humility does not oppose. It does not hide in shame, because it is content with what it is, knowing creation is the will of God. Its selflessness is self. This it sees in every meeting, where it gladly joins with every son of God, whose purity it recognizes that it shares with him. Right? And this is the beginning of the description of what the Course calls the real world, where we have reached that place in the mind where everything reflects the oneness. Right? We don't oppose anything. We don't hide in shame. Right? We realize that creation is just the extension of all that is. Right? And we gladly join with every son of God, whose purity we recognize, and we know that we share it with him or her. All right. Just as an aside, and as like in every epic tale, it's the women who will bring us to the greater heights. Just an opinion. Right. Now prayer is lifted from the world of things, of bodies, and of gods of every kind, and you can rest in holiness at last. Humility has come to teach you how to understand your glory as God's Son, and recognize the arrogance of sin. A dream has veiled the face of Christ from you. Now can you look upon his sinlessness? High has the ladder risen. You have come almost to heaven. There is no more to learn before the journey is complete. Now you can say to everyone who comes to join in prayer with you, I cannot go without you, for you are a part of me. Okay? That's the three things that he put in italics. First, I realized that, oh no, I wouldn't want to have the guilt that I'm projecting on you. Then we realized that we go together on this journey. And then we realize that we're actually the same. We share the same self, that same higher self. We are the Christ. There is no separation. There's no duality. Okay. That's what he means by there's little more to learn before the journey is complete. Now you could say to everyone who comes in to join in prayer with you, I cannot go without you, for you are part of me. We start to recognize the oneness. Prayer is lifted from the world of things and bodies and gods of every kind, and you can rest in holiness at last. This is the real world, as the text would say, where you're still seen and you could see, but everything reflects the oneness. And you can rest in your own holiness. You are secure in the knowledge of your own holiness, your innocence. Humility has come to teach you how to understand your glory. Right? It's not arrogant. Humility has come to teach you how you can stand in your own glory as God's Son and recognize the arrogance of sin, of the thought of separation. How arrogant to think that you could overcome that. You could overcome God. You could overcome the awareness, the oneness. That's arrogance, and that's the ego. All right. You recognize the arrogance of sin. A dream has veiled the face of Christ from you. Now can you look upon his sinlessness? All right. So that veil drops. And as they say in places in the text and in the explanations of terms here, you see the face of Christ and you remember God. The face of Christ is the symbol of the innocence. You realize you never separated. You never sinned, so to speak. Now you can look upon his sinlessness. High has the ladder risen. High has the ladder risen. You have come almost to heaven. There's little more to learn before the journey is complete. Now you could say to everyone who comes to join in prayer with you, I cannot go without you, for you are part of me. All right, you will know this. You will know it. All right. I'm fortunate in my journey through the course and my study groups and teaching and all that, and talking to people about it. I would often say to people, sometimes I have the experience of talking to myself, which is a wonderful experience. It's not that you're being ignored. It's that you realize there's no separation at this point. All right. For you are part of me. And so he is in truth. Now, can you pray only for what you truly share with him? For you have understood he never left, and you, who seemed alone, are one with him. All right. Neither one of us has left the oneness. We never sinned. And we're not alone. We are in the mind of God, safe, secure, happy as a clam. Paragraph 4. The latter ends with this. For learning is no longer needed. Now you stand before the gate of heaven, and your brother stands beside you. The lawns are deep and still. For here the place appointed for the time when you should come has waited long for you. Here will time end forever. At this gate, eternity itself will join with you. Prayer has become what it was meant to be, for you have recognized the Christ in you. Just wonderful poetry, such uplifting thoughts. The latter ends because you realize that there is no separation. I never left, neither did the other. There is no other. Now you stand before the gate of heaven, and your brother stands beside you there. And the lawns are deep and still. For here the place appointed for the time when you should come has waited long for you. As if the separation happened long ago. Right? Which Jesus often says, just because we think we're in time, we think there's long ago. and we think there's a far away. All right. But it's just wonderful poetry. It's always been waiting for us, just waiting for us to return, like the prodigal sons. All right. Here will time end forever. All right. It will only be now. At this gate, eternity itself will join with you. Because prayer has become what it was meant to be. Right? For you have recognized the Christ in you. You have recognized that you are innocent. You have recognized you never separated. Right? You recognize your own innocence and you rest in that. And so prayer has become what it was meant to be, what it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be. World with end. Amen. But prayer now has become what it was supposed to be. Just that awareness, that communication, that song that we sing to the Father and the Father sings to us. The song of prayer. Thank you. With that, we will, next time we meet, we will start with the idea of forgiveness, I believe. Okay. See ya.